Hey guys, Joe here at Joe's Gym. This section we're going to cover rep range. This is such a controversial topic. I don't know about controversial, but there's just so many opinions out there on rep range. Well, I think you should do 4 sets of 10. Well, I think you should do 1 whatever. I think you should do a bunch of weight or little weight and a bunch of reps. And the thing is, the answer to that is it's choose option C. See, I mean, Americans are like, well, it's left or right. It's A or B. It's just the way it is. And it's like, most things in life are option C. Hell, there's an entire alphabet. There's option D, E, F, G. I mean, it's like, there's so many different things. The answer is, it depends. I mean, anybody that's ever asked me a question has to be frustrated because I never answer questions. It's always, well, it depends. Again, it's usually I don't have enough information with the first question somebody asks. Somebody says, I want to get into shape. What do I do? It depends. Again, what do you want? Where are you at? How old are you? What's your competence level? Again, we have to be competent in the gym. It's not talent, but we need to learn a skill that we can be competent to understand what's going to make muscle grow. As I'm activating muscles is really what I'm really, really good at in the gym. And this is really what this program is to do, is teach you guys how to activate muscles. Proper execution, right? Contracting muscles versus moving objects from point A to point B. So rep range means this. Joe, do I do 1 set of this? Do I do 3 sets of 12? Do I do 4 sets of 10? Any workout program that you read here, bodybuilding.com, whatever program, whatever book has a rep range, which is, in my opinion, a guideline. They are guidelines, not commandments. What I would tell somebody is this. I think your rep range depends on what your intuition says as you get in the gym and you start getting competent as you do this. For somebody who is brand new, what I'm going to tell you to do, get in the gym, study each exercise on this website the night before or whenever you go to the gym. So you know what you're going to do, watch the videos, go to the gym, practice it, especially if you're brand new. I want you to use lighter weight. And I want you to do proper execution to have perfect reps, probably more, say 3 to 4 sets for around 8 to 15 reps. So your set is when you're down there repping them out. That, if I do, 8, 9, 10, I did 10 reps, that was first set. Then I take a break, and then I go back at it. What I would tell you to do is, if you're somewhat a beginner, somewhat new at this, or just want to kind of start over, I would take less of a break in between sets, and I would do between 3 and 4 sets, and I would get between 8 and 15, closer to the 15 range. And I'm not worried about how much weight you're lifting, but I want 15 to be almost failure, almost that positive failure. Again, read this or watch the section that talks about positives, negatives, the concentric, the eccentric motion, that type of stuff. Again, that's a section in here. But I want you flirting with positive failure at around 8 to 15, preferably higher. Slow movements, that type of stuff. Again, I want the muscle activation, and I want less rest in between sets. 30 to 45 seconds in between sets, really no more than a minute. Because I want that muscle fatigued, and I want it fatigued quickly, and I want it under a boatload of tension, so that you can start developing that mind-muscle connection. Almost just close your eyes. If I'm pressing something, if I'm doing a dumbbell side rise, if I'm doing any exercise, almost just tune the gym out. Have some headphones or whatever, close your eyes, and don't worry about what your hands are doing. I'm not worried about my hands coming up and down on a chest press. I'm worried about my pectoral muscle contracting. I'm worried about bringing my elbow across my chest. Right? I am worried about what is happening under the skin internally to make that muscle move, or to make that muscle contract, to then have weight, therefore then move, if that makes sense. Cart before the horse stuff. I'm not here to lift weights, I'm here to contract muscles. So that rep range, if you're newer, again, I want you to be a little bit higher. I want you to start developing that mind-muscle connection to make sure that you're getting just the right execution, the right activation of the muscles. I want you sore, I want you fatigued, and I want you doing that probably for several months until you can really start things from a competence standpoint to activate muscles properly, to then start doing the heavier weights. Ultimate muscle hypertrophy, in my opinion, science backs this to a certain degree, is between the 8 and 12 rep range. And there's times, you look at guys like Mike Mincer and Dorian Yates, they had some working sets, but then they had one all out, balls to the wall set. Everything all out to utter failure. I think people should work up to that. But at the same time, I don't think a beginner should do that, because you're going to be so sore and crippled that you're going to have to call in work, sick, things like that, because you can't move or whatever. So, but I think people should work up to that. And again, there's going to be ancillary videos on this that's going to show the rep range, what that means. Again, most of the demonstration videos are activation. Most of them are not guys going to their full all-out weight, gals going to their full all-out weight. It's a how to activate muscle. You decide as you go what weights you should use. But if you're getting over 15, in my opinion, you're using too light of weight. Lightweight, high rep does not necessarily mean the toning range. It really ultimately means the muscle endurance range. It just means you can lift weights for long periods of time. If you want the toning, muscle has to grow. You have to have optimal hypertrophy. You have to have optimal tension, and you have to have at least over that 40 or that 40% max, right? You have to have over that time frame to again have optimal muscle hypertrophy to then shape and grow muscle, which will again then tone you up. Toning up means hardening of muscles, losing of fat. So it's not like these really, really low weights, high reps does that. Ultimately, you can do it, but ultimately it leads to muscle endurance, again, which just means you can lift for long periods of time. And if you're the type of people that just don't have a life and don't like your kids and your family, hey, have at it, right? I don't have all day in the gym. 30, 45 minutes is most of my workouts. So, maybe an hour at the most. So, that rep range for early on, again, I want you to be able to have proper execution, get your body acclimated to what the weight is doing, to start getting acclimated to the recovery process, because again, recovery comes down to a big deal. So that rep range needs to be how many times, how many sets can I have the muscle fatigue? You'll know when you're done. This is intuition. I really getting into the gym and knowing when your muscle is done, when you've done enough. Again, 3 to 4 sets of about 8 to 15 with proper, perfect execution, activation of the muscle, I think, when you're newer. Get that, do that until you've done this for a while, several months in my opinion, where you're sore the next day, but then it's recovered the day after. Sometimes, the delayed onset muscle soreness, the DOMS on legs for me is usually 2 days after. But again, you'll know your body as you do this. You don't know what you don't know until you dive in and do it. So you'll see how and when your body starts to respond to things, but pick that rep range. So again, if I'm doing chest press, side rises, I'm doing some legs, things like that, 3 to 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps of perfect execution for several months until your body is acclimated to it, and then start diving into the next rep ranges. I personally think that's the way to do it. But again, we are all different. Give it a shot. Maybe it doesn't take a few months. Maybe it's a few weeks for you. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to have a heavier load day, where maybe you do go into the 8 to 10 range. And 10 means I can no longer do the positive motion. I've hit positive failure at 10. That means you've picked that right weight at that point. So that's where warm-up sets and things like that come in. But again, especially if you're brand new, that really needs to be your rep range, I think, at least for a few weeks, up to optimally more than just a few months, actually. I think that should happen. all while getting your diet in check, all while getting your routine down, because again, we are creatures of habit, creatures that just seek this routine. Create the routine where it's all incorporated with how often you come in, what you're eating, when you're working out, when you're eating, all those type of things does come down to your rep range as well too. This is going to be an all-encompassing program that we're going to fix everything that you're dealing with. So again, the brand new people, I think that really needs to be your rep range. 3 to 4 sets, 8 to 15 reps, very, very little rest in between, so that again, you can get your muscles fatigued, hit the failure, get your butt out the gym, get your body recovering, get acclimated to the soreness that's about to come, and then making sure that it's, again, proper muscle execution.